It's been just over 4 years since Hurricane Michael made its way through Georgia, causing more than $2.5 billion in damage to the state's agricultural sector alone. One of the hardest hit ag sectors was the pecan industry, as growers throughout the state saw losses of more than $500 million. One producer that knows just what kind of an impact the storm had on his orchard is Greg Legier, a pecan producer in Crisp County that had extensive damage and ended up losing more than 1,000 trees, something he describes as devastating, but says they had no choice but to get to work to get things back in order.
We started re-strategizing our plan, and we were intending on hedging some of these trees at some point, and that were high density planted. And when we had the damage to get our grid back to our orchard, we started spading and transplanting trees instead of hedging to get the structure back to the grove. And this is year 5 now, I think, and we're finally turning the corner on our production and bringing it back in another direction in a productive manner.
As you can see from these pictures and video Legier took just days after the storm, they certainly had their work cut out for them, as they cleaned up the orchard and transplanted trees around the clock. But as you can tell, after years of hard work, they finally got their orchard back to some sort of normalcy.
It's a process of several years because the window of opportunity to transplant is very short when you start talking about moving as many trees as we had to move. So it was a 2 to 3 year process to eventually restructure the grove, and we sacrificed some young trees and moved them around and just replanted that area so that in a sense we had some of the same age group trees for the process of spraying and fertilizer program and irrigation program. All that is a big part of the restructure and how you place trees around.
However, physical damage wasn't the only thing Hurricane Michael caused, as the storm created a disruption in the alternate bearing cycle, to which now nearly the entire state's pecan production comes in at one time.
What happened is hurricane comes through, wipes out the crop, but also destroys the trees, the fruiting branches on those trees. And before that, the west part of Georgia and the east side of Georgia had been on alternating cycles, and nut trees alternate instinctively anyway. And so the hurricane basically reset the entire state crop and put us on the same cycle. But when it has that kind of damage, it sets the crop into a pretty severe alternate bearing cycle. So Hurricane Michael was 18, we had virtually nothing in 19, and then in 2020 had a huge crop.
According to the American Pecan Council, not only have Georgia pecan growers recovered their orchards from Hurricane Michael, they've also planted 12,000 more trees. Reporting in Cordele for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.